Hello, educators. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Maria. Welcome back to our channel. Thank you for joining us today.
And how have the first 9 weeks of school been for you? I hope that you and your students are doing a great job and keep on going.
Today, we're going to continue our series with teaching writing in middle and high schools. The topic we will focus on is narratives. It's one of the most familiar essay types, but sometimes it can be very challenging for students.
So recently, the New York Times just organized a writing contest for teenagers in which the students will tell a meaningful and interesting true story from their lives in just 100 words. And we hope the students will have a good time experimenting the new ways to tell the experiences that matter to them.
And with our help, you guys will be prepared to take the gold next year. Now, Lynn will go over some mentor texts from Tiny Love Stories.
All right, and here I have a list of 25 mentor texts from the New York Times collection. And of course, students and teachers do not have to go through every single passages. We can just choose those that best reflects our purposes of teaching writing narratives. And here I will just pick the first two passages as the examples. And as a class, teachers will have the students read out the narratives, or the teachers can just read on their own. And here I'll just read the two passages out. First one, hey is not hey. Hey, his message read, my heart fluttered. The one why may have left me upset, but the second why, that was promising. Such a simple yet ambiguous greeting. Did he want to hang out? Was he going to confess his love? Oh, he was typing. A double text. It was my lucky day. I broke sweat waiting for his response. How should I respond? Hi, I am in love with you. My message had to show the same amount of interest as his. He responded, sorry, didn't mean the extra Y. Oh, the second one, Bender Bender. While looking the other way, I rammed into a back of her car. Are you all right? I asked. Yes, but I don't know about my car, she said without anger. Are you okay? Still in shock and worried about being liable, I noticed a slight damage on both of our cars. Then a sunflower on her dress. She's the type of person I could be friends with, I thought. I replied, I'm all right. With mutual relief, we hugged spontaneously and then drove off our separate ways. My bumper was bruised, but my faith in humanity was restored. Right, so after we read aloud the passages, the students will then find the similarities and differences between the two excerpts. The teachers can ask students questions like, what elements are noticeable in the two texts? So for example, here we can see that both of the two passages, they all have dialogues like, hey, and then hi, I am in love with you. Here we have, are you all right? Yes, but I do not know about my car, etc. So those are one kind of similarities. And then teachers can define some main components of narratives based on Florida's sea ponds or other resources. So for example, we have description and dialogue, pacing, perspectives, and more. And then teachers can explain what each of the elements is and where the students can find them in the mentor text. So for example, we have description. Those are the details the writer uses to convey a message or develop literacy elements such as the sensory details, literal or figurative languages, and then dialogues. As you can see in the two passages, we have the direct quotations, and those can be the conversations between two or more characters. And then after that, students can share their thoughts and or their feelings about why and how those elements convey the author's message to the targeted audience, and how they also make the stories more interesting and more meaningful to them. And by exploring the mentor text in depth through different lenses, that will help students understand and take note of the key takeaways for their personal application.
Wow, those are some great pieces. What are some activities or student interactions you plan to incorporate into the lesson plans?
So teachers can divide the class into smaller groups and assign each group a passage from the list of 25 mentor texts over here, and then the group will analyze the passage and draw a mind map demonstrating the text main supporting point, the language used, descriptive illustrations, senses, etc. I will actually share one of the examples that I have here for you. So this is the example mind map for the first passage. The first passage, hey, is not hey. So here we have the characters, which are I and he. And then we also have sensory details, mostly the sight, dialogues. We have hey, hi. We have description and adjectives like lucky, flutter, promising. The language, it can be literal or figurative. And then the conflicts that the characters have, which are the feelings. She's happy, she's upset after reading the other friend's responses. And then after the students have find all of the elements, they will share with the class the findings and then tell the class what kind of elements they plan to incorporate into their personal 100 narrative. And then after class discussion, the teachers will let students brainstorm and free write their ideas for 10 minutes. And since texts are limited to 100 words only, students will learn through the process how to pick out a specific memory that best represents themselves and retell it in a more creative way.
You've got a lot of great ideas, Lynn. I think these mentor texts are great to use in the classroom, and I hope you teachers out there are able to benefit from this as well. And what's great is that this would actually work as a fun introduction into those longer narratives. Sometimes it can be hard to get your students to open up, but these narratives are just about telling your story, something that's true to you. It can be funny, it can be sad or inspiring. I found some great mentor texts that can help with writing those personal narratives. I would suggest starting with short stories so as to not bombard your students with a load of work.
So why don't you summarize some of those mentor texts that you have?
Sure. Okay. So one of my favorite narratives is called Fish Cheeks, which I actually read my freshman year of high school. It's a cute short story about a girl named Amy who is in love with a white boy named Robert. She's absolutely distraught when she finds out that her mom invited his family over for their Chinese Christmas dinner. And her mom makes a lot of traditional Chinese food, which she refers to as a strange menu. And then her guests arrive. She is embarrassed by her relatives' manners, and even though they are polite Chinese customs, the American guests are left astonished. And they leave, and Amy is silent for the rest of the night. Her mom ends up giving her an early Christmas gift and tells her that even though she may want to be American on the outside, she will always be Chinese on the inside, and that her only shame is to have shame. She learns a very important lesson that night, and she eventually gets over her crush. The story has a great arc as noticed in the introduction, setting, plot, climax, and resolution. When writing a personal narrative, you want to focus on your goals, challenges, the lesson learned at the end, and how you reflect on your experiences. With this story, you can have your students split up into groups to discuss the protagonist's character development. That way they can learn how to apply it to their own stories.
And do you have any additional activities that can help the students with writing short stories?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I actually thought of a few activities in regards to writing their narratives. Maybe they can play a game called Concentric Circles, which is something I did with my teachers not so long ago. You can have your students form an outer circle and an inner circle and have them face each other to answer questions in pairs. So you can ask questions or give them prompts such as, are siblings friends? Do you think revenge is a viable option? When was the last time you were scared? Or what is the bravest thing you've ever done? This activity gives them the opportunity to think of different ideas and scenarios that let them reflect on their own choices and experiences. It's great for thinking of a plot and character development. You can also have them fill out a worksheet about characters, settings, conflict, and resolution. You can use other mentor texts such as the ones here. Here are some other short stories. You can also do a poem if you want. And I would also suggest doing a plot diagram like this one, and that way they can learn and figure out the mechanics of how the events of the story go. That way they can have a good narrative. I definitely recommend you guys check this out.
And so we really hope that you guys learned a lot from this video. And remember that everything we talked in this video will be linked down in the description below.
If you want more information or ideas, please check out our Teachers Pay Teachers account. We have such great resources that your students will absolutely love.
And that is it for today's episode on teaching writing personal narratives. Feel free to engage in the comment section below and share with us your ideas and or resources.
Thank you so much for watching and supporting us. We'll be back in a few days with another teaching writing lesson.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the alarm for our channel. Bye!
Bye!